Hello, hello, hello. Oh, it has been way too long since I have done a live and really excited to be doing a live, I believe, on the first time for LinkedIn. So, ooh la la, super cute, super fun. Hello, everyone. If you don't know who I am, you will soon. We are going to be talking about something really interesting, which is using creativity for personal and professional success. So, if that's something that's interesting to you, stay with me for a fun conversation. So, where am I? You can find me on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. I believe I'm also doing this on Periscope. So, I'm all over the place, guys. So, with that, I think it's time to get started. Let me share with you my deck so we can have some fun. Yes, yes, yes. And let's get to it. Now, when it comes to comments, I believe you can put comments on the different places that I'm at. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to see all of them live, but I definitely plan to go back through this and check out questions or comments or thoughts and all that. So make sure that if you have any of that, you put it in. Okay, so let's get started. How to stand out with the 3 C's, part 3. So this is a series I started a while back. Don't judge me. A lot has happened. I've had a baby. I've moved states. Like it's been quite a journey. But I am finally finishing out this 3-part series. And again, we're talking about how creativity is going to be able to give you that professional and personal success that you're looking for in your life. I don't know what's better than that. Hello. So how are we going to kind of talk today? First, a little bit about me, just in case you are new to my platform, Dressing Room 8. Definitely want to make sure that you have all the information about me so that you can check it out, check out my stuff after if you're interested. Also, kind of the guide of what I'm talking about, which is how creativity can be used for personal and professional success. Then words of wisdom. I'm a big fan of storytelling. So I definitely want to share kind of my tidbits of personal and professional wisdom that I've experienced in my life. And then again, there's no point to have conversations or discuss content unless you make it applicable for you. So like kind of creating that personal action plan for yourself. So if that sounds good to you, then we can keep it moving, y'all. So me, Natasha Nurse, I do a lot of different things. First and foremost, born and raised in New York. I am a former New Yorker because I've now been in Arizona for over 2 years now. It's been amazing. What else about me? So I started a blog and coaching business over 6 years ago. It's called Dressing Room 8. Essentially, the name derives from the idea that like in that dressing room, a lot of times women feel very insecure or judged or just not comfortable in their own skin. And so let's kind of take places where we have trauma and reinvent and reignite a new feeling and a new narrative for ourselves. So what if the dressing room could be the room as to where you feel good about yourself, where you're putting on that self-confidence, where you're building your self-esteem, and also you're designing and creating the life that you want. So lifestyle blog, so everything from fashion to home to beauty and beyond. And then of course coaching. So primarily I focus my coaching on accountability. I love it. Accountability, media, and then career coaching, which I truly enjoy, because finding that path for yourself can be kind of challenging. And then, of course, I do programs like this. I've spoken at several conferences. I definitely love doing online program. Like I said, it's been a minute since I had like a whole person come out of me. So that's been a wonderful journey, motherhood. And then also I'm proud co-creator of a podcast called Woken Free. I do that with my husband. We have Woken Free Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, it's a new episode. And pretty much we have been doing that for going to be, I think now 4 years, really. So it's just been a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ride personally and professionally in my life. And so with that, enough about me, y'all. Let's get to the content, right? So what are we talking about? There's 6 ways that you're going to be able to use creativity for personal and professional success. If you're like, well, what do you mean, Tosh? What's that look like? And I refer to myself in third person because that's like what geniuses do. I'm kidding. I just do. Am I a genius? You tell me. And you can call me Natasha. You can call me Tosh. You can call me Tash, if you're my mom and dad, but most people in my network, my crew, my peeps, like to do Tosh or Tasha, so I feel like Natasha lends for that name, right? Like there's a Natasha moment, and then there's like, Tosh, what's up, what's good, and then there's the Tasha moments, right? So my name has different formulations. You choose what you feel is fun, and let's get into it. So what are the 6 ways to use creativity for personal and professional success? It comes down to, first, we have to identify the opportunities. So what does that mean? So in your career, for instance, say you are on a team, and say you feel like you want more leadership, right? That you want more responsibility, that you want to have a little bit more light shining on you. Well, what are you going to do about it, right? So creativity is a wonderful avenue for you to propose a project or a initiative, for you to design something, depending upon kind of what you're doing in your career. But those creativity can lend for more opportunities for you to rise up in the ranks. It can also lend for different types of lifestyle choices that you make for yourself, right? So identifying the opportunities is critical. If you don't do that, you can't exercise your creative muscles, right? So that's definitely step 1. Step 2 is you have to say yes to your imagination. And why do I say this? Because a lot of times we live in this space of no. Before we've even considered saying yes to ourselves or to what we want, we automatically come up with all the different ways that this is not going to work, all the different ways that we don't know how it's going to work, so it must not work. I think the first step in any type of change in mindset or change in direction for yourself is just simply to say yes. So if you can say yes, which I know you can, then I think you will wildly surprise yourself about just how creative you can actually be on a personal or professional venture, project, or direction, and just kind of let your wings span out as far and wide as possible. So first, let's identify those opportunities. Second, let's say yes to our imagination, meaning don't limit yourself. Don't start from the place of no before you've even considered the place of yes. All right. And then critical. I see this, I would say, probably since, my network is filled with a lot of other people out there trying to live their dreams and go after things. I would say more so in the professional space, which is a lot of people waiting for people to give them permission to act or permission to find who they're going to be in their careers or what the next steps are for themselves. And I think that's a critical misstep here, because if you can just take action, then you can start to get the ball rolling. You can start to design new things and create new opportunities and have critical conversations and also learn and fail and succeed. But you have to just take action. You can't just sit on something and be like, well, I was wondering, well, what you were wondering, no. Start acting, start doing something. So I think that that's really critical, right? Identify opportunities, say yes to your imagination, take action. And then super important, because what was I mentioning before, that negative space in our mind, right? We have, oh gosh, thousands and thousands of thoughts that go through our head every single day. How many of them are negative compared to positive? You darn well know it's going to be more negative than positive. Ha ha ha, no surprise there. So you have to actively be your own best advocate. You have to actively cheer yourself on. You have to actively push through to expand your boundaries and your limits so that you can achieve what you want to achieve in this world. You are the master of your fate, which means it is up to you to design the life you want for yourself. It is up to you to design the career you want for yourself. It is up to you to live the way you want, right? And so if you can advocate on behalf of yourself, then you can push through those downs and lulls. And we all have them. We all have moments of insecurity. We all have moments of I don't know how I'm going to get through the next 5 minutes. I don't know how I'm going to, right? All of that. It's not purview to some people versus others. We're all living in this space of sometimes you know what's going on, sometimes you don't know how you're going to breathe in the next minute. Okay, right? But you have to cheer yourself on, because you cannot afford to put that responsibility on anyone else, because they may not do it. They may not have your best interest at heart. So at the bare minimum, you know that you have yourself, right? You came into this world alone, you know you're going out alone. So if you've got you, then what's the best thing you can do for you? You got to cheer and hype yourself up. You got to be your best hype woman or man or person, right? You got to do that. So cheer yourself onward, right? Oh my gosh, I have this new cool idea. I'm going to pitch it to my boss. Oh my gosh, I have this new exercise I'm going to try to do. Let's see what happens. Oh my gosh, I have this new idea to paint the house. Like whatever the creative idea or project is, you are in charge of moving it forward. It's not enough to just have the idea and have it just be fleeting and not move anywhere with it, because that is doing injustice to you. Now, next point, we're almost like done with all 6 points, right? Like I talk in a New York fast minute like that, so you're welcome. Ignore the haters and naysayers. I say this because, again, not necessarily my personal network, because for folks who are negative, I have literally like maybe like 2% of energy to deal with. So like whoever fits those 2%, that's your bucket, and that's all that it's filled. And everyone else is absolutely not. But professionally, right, we can definitely, unfortunately, we come across all different types of personalities that you have to be able to work with and find a way to deal with. But one thing you have to always do is, regardless of how negative or positive a person is, but specifically we're talking about kind of this negative mindset, negative, the people who always want to see how something can fail or break before it can ever succeed, you got to ignore that, because that type of mindset, thinking, interactions, energy will hold you back. It will be like tying a weight around your neck and you're trying to swim. It's not going to work. That's not going to work. So what do we have to do? We have to cut the ties to negativity, cut the ties to haters and naysayers, because believe you and me, they will be there. They will never go away. I imagine even if you talk to the oldest person on the planet, they will say that they have had an interaction with someone who was negative. They've had interactions where people told them they would fail at something. Go figure, right? One of my favorite scenes is actually from The Pursuit of Happiness. Shout out to Will Smith. Woohoo! And it's a scene with him and Jaden, his son. And, you know, Jaden's like throwing the basketball, and then Will Smith, you know, is saying, you know, oh, you'll never be a basketball player, so don't spend time on this. And then he has to kind of pause because he looks at his son and he sees how deflated his face is. And it's, again, why would you tell a child what they can't do, as opposed to empowering them to see and dream of what they can do, right? And he says, you know, don't listen to me, right? You know, don't ever let anyone crush your dreams. It's up to you to protect it, right? And people will tell you you can't do something just because they couldn't, right? Not to say that the feasibility of what you're planning to do or want to do is even possible. It's just the idea that, like, how dare you dream a dream bigger than me? How dare you achieve a dream that I couldn't? Right. So you have to really be mindful of the naysayers and the haters in your personal and professional world. Like I said, in your personal world, that's where you have a little bit more autonomy of saying, oh, you're negative. No, right. Like you can close the door to that. But sometimes professionally, right, depending upon, you know, what you do and the nature of your work, you don't necessarily always have that option. So you have to like close the door in your mind so that obviously you can entertain people and say, thank you for your thoughts. I hear you, right? And be civil and be professional and keep it on moving, right? Because people are going to do and they're going to say what they want to say. But ultimately, you don't have to ingest it. You don't have to consume it and metabolize this negativity, because it's only going to harm you. It's kind of like as if someone is spewing poison, and then what is it? What do you have to do? You have to make sure that you don't drink that Kool-Aid, right? No. And then another really good tip that I have found, both personally and professionally, is to never stop learning, right? There's always new ways to think. There's always new ways to do things. There's always new ways and innovative ways to be creative. So for instance, if you're a content creator and say you're making content for social media, you're like trying to figure out how you want to design your post for IG or Facebook or Twitter or Snapchat or TikTok or, you know, whatever platform you're on, ultimately, you can always perfect your craft, right? This is something that I have to tell myself and remind myself, like, hey, Tosh, time to learn something new, try to find new ways to do things, because ultimately nothing is standing still. Life is a forward movement into the beyond. So we have to be comfortable with the idea that like you don't know everything and you're never going to know everything. And that's pretty cool because that means that there's always something to learn. There's always someone new to meet. There's always something new to do, right? So this idea of like, I'm bored, nonsense. Like I cannot wait until my son is 2 months old. He's already talking. I'm like, oh, chip off the old block. Thank you very much. But it drives me crazy. But I want him to never, ever, ever in his life utter the words, "Oh, mommy, I'm so bored." Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? There is so much to do and so much to learn and so much to experience in this world. Nonsense. Boredom is foolishness. That's not going to work. That's not going to work in this household. That's not going to work in life. I really encourage you to find a new way to think about what's going on in your world and how you can learn and evolve. All right. So let's summarize in a New York Minute: 6 ways to use creativity for personal and professional success. Identify opportunities. Say yes to your imagination. Woo! Take action. Be your #1 advocate. Ignore the haters and naysayers and never stop learning. I hope that was as fun as it was for me. It was so awesome. I love it. So now my words of wisdom. So let's get into some storytelling. So thoughts. Okay, so I think first, fearlessness is really important. I have fearless tattooed on my shoulder to literally be a physical reminder to myself that like, ain't nobody got time to be scared and in a place of fear. We have to push past and know that your life is valuable, that you are worthy of everything that you want and you dream of in this world. And if you don't achieve something, if you don't get out and put your best effort out there, then ultimately what's going to happen? You're going to live with regret, and that's completely avoidable and completely unnecessary. So let's just like not go down that path, right? Like there's all these different paths we can go down in our personal and professional lives. Let's go down a different path, okay? Next, creativity breeds leadership. So I have found, because I've been that person in many different roles I've had in my career so far, outside of, entrepreneurship, I've done teaching, I'm a licensed attorney, like a lot of different titles. I will not bore you with all the things that I do. But I have always really honed in on being creative in how I think about ideas and how I approach wanting to pitch the ideas, and how I design programs or design things that I want to, initiatives that I want to move forward with. And I have found that has allowed me to level up in leadership responsibilities and titles. So I really encourage you, especially if you're like starting in the more junior level of your career, that you really start to kind of break away the idea that like I can't or I don't know, and really, really, really move forward with the idea that like, hey, I can do what I want. I can figure out what I want to do and keep it moving. So with that, I think the next thing is, so who here has seen Forrest Gump, right? Like that classic film, where the mom says like, Forrest, life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. I really, I love that movie. Shout out to Tom Hanks. But B, just like, it's unimaginable how unexpected life is, from the people you'll meet, to the things that you'll do, to the new opportunities that will come your way, to the new places that you'll live, to the new fashions that you'll try, to the new foods that you'll eat, to the new love romantic relationships that you have, to the new scents that you spray on your body. I mean, it goes endless. It's an endless conversation of all the new and the unexpected that could happen in your life. So with that kind of understanding in that context, can you say to yourself that you're ready, willing, and able to learn? You're ready, willing, and able to explore. You're ready, willing, and able to design a life that you want for yourself. And creativity is kind of this tool, this mechanism that's going to allow you to do things that may make you feel uncomfortable, that may make you say, oh gosh, wow, like, is this really happening? But you'll be able to take moments, hopefully, to learn and to reflect and to understand what was good that happened there and what was maybe the challenging part, and how could we respond and do things differently, right? Is that something that's possible? I think so. I think by you watching this, by you consuming this, by you taking the time to think about what I'm saying, then you're like, Tosh, I can do this. I know you can. Tosh says you can do it. So you do it. Now, this next point, I had to put this in because as a person in our household, me and my husband, like I said, are co-creators of our podcast. We spend a lot of time talking. It's totally like, I'm obsessed with it since I was a child. But also we do a lot of laughing here because we find, especially with a newborn, or I guess is he still a little bit out of the newborn stage, right? He's like turning 3 months soon. And, you know, if you're not laughing, you might ultimately be crying, which is challenging because it was time to cry every day. No one has time to cry every day. So I love to tickle myself and to laugh and to say funny things and do funny things. I love when my husband does it. I love when my baby does it unapologetically. He could care less what's going on. He's doing him all day, every day. I love babies. I think that to me, the nature of humanity within our infantile stages like that is brilliant. A baby is so unapologetic and so fearless. I think if more adults could be like babies, this world would be such a different place because babies don't care. They don't care how you're feeling. They don't care what's going on. They don't care if there's a typhoon outside. They want to eat, they need to poop, they need to sleep, and they want to have fun. And regardless of anything else that's going on, they're just like, get it together, like figure out what category applies now and move on, right? And I love it because it's just so authentically delicious and exhausting and beautiful and challenging, all like wrapped up with a bow. So just keep in mind that no matter what's going on in your life, personally and professionally, we can't lose sight of being funny because there is always something to laugh at. There's always something to be humorous about, even in those challenging moments. Just even the moment itself, be like, you know, I cannot even, this person, right? Like, there's just that. So I'll just leave it at that. Sometimes nonverbal responses are totally acceptable forms of communication. That's where I'm going to leave that. And then another thing that I love to advocate for, because, you know, I wouldn't be where I am personally or professionally if I didn't have this, which is mentorship. Right? Having and identifying people who can give you advice, who can help uplift you in your career, who can help, you know, kind of shed some light on what might be good for you, what are opportunities to consider, what are programs, courses, you know, things that you can do to elevate and grow. Because if we're not growing, we're staying still. And again, life is forward moving always. We don't have time to stand still. We don't have time to not learn and to not grow. So making sure that you also take that and you give back and you kind of look at where you're at. Is there someone, you know, behind 10 steps, 5 steps, 2 steps that you can help uplift, whether that person's in your community, whether that person is someone you relate to or not, it doesn't matter. It's about making sure that you know, there's no greater feeling than being able to uplift others, especially if you can do that in your career and your title, awesome. But generally, no matter what, there's always an opportunity for mentorship for yourself and for you to give back to others. So never forget that, guys. Personal action plan. What's next for you? So I think it comes down to your why when it comes to like, why do I want to be creative? How is creativity going to help me? So for example, just kind of give you context, for me, creativity has been helpful because, you know, outside of my career, I love to work on various creative projects like our podcast or, you know, my coaching that I offer. And so my why is I love to empower and uplift others. I love to, you know, be that change you want to see in the body of my work, whether it's coaching, podcasting, or my, you know, career. And ultimately, you know, your why has to drive and propel you forward. If you aren't clear on your why, then you're going to stumble and you're going to also not know what the next step is for you. Maybe you want to be a full-time entrepreneur, right? Maybe you want to be an author, maybe you want to be a model, maybe you want to be an artist, but you don't, if you don't know why, then, you know, will you really commit to that path? Will you really even, you know, be able to survive or get past those really challenging moments? Because I can guarantee you, no matter what you do in this world, There's going to be lulls. There's going to be opportunities of failure. There's going to be opportunities of stumbling, of what the heck is going on, all of that, right? So your why has to be that grounding, foundational space that you stand on, that you're steadfast in, so that you can keep moving forward through the ups and the downs, but mostly that down period, right? That's where human beings, we need that kind of grounding, because otherwise it's super easy to be like, oh, I'm done, give up, right? Like super, super easy too. So you have to really make sure that you are constantly working against that failure point. Next, be honest and real with yourself. I cannot tell you how many people lie about, why they're doing what they're doing, or like, oh, I really, no, like, what do you really want to do? Like, what do you really want to do, right? Like, do you want to be the boss? Do you want to start the business? Do you want to have a family? Do you want, like, whatever the thing is, right? Whatever the personal, professional opportunity or path that you're on, be honest, be real with yourself, because that is where it's a beautiful space to be in, where you can really then define and really be clear about how creativeness can help you get closer to your goal. But if you're lying to yourself, if you're clogged and you're not like really figuring out and being open, it's going to take longer, and it's going to be more frustrating. And I don't know if you're really going to enjoy what you're going to enjoy if you don't even know if you're going to get to the end zone. So honesty, realness, never fail you. Commitment is critical, right? I would say from a coaching perspective, that's why I like to do accountability coaching, because it's super easy to say, I'm going to do da, 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 da. Awesome. And so when you finishing it, why are you finishing it? How are you promoting it, right? Like, commitment. Commitment is how we get to that end goal, right? So we have to commit to the process. Really, this I learned through various folks that I've worked with, which is reflections, taking time to sit back with yourself and say, how did I like this? How did this go? Was this something? What was the part that I enjoyed the most? What was the part that I learned the most from? What was the most challenging part? What was something that if this happened again, you would want to deal with differently? If you don't take time along the way in your life, it doesn't have to be daily. I mean, daily reflections are beautiful, because it kind of allows you to take that snapshot of like how the day is going, and then being like, okay, let me reset or redefine what the next day is going to be. But at bare minimum, I would say weekly reflections of like all the different things you're working on, because as adults, you realize, right, you don't live in just one space of doing one thing. Nope. I can't tell you how many things I've done already this morning before doing this live stream. So, what is going well? What is, challenging? What are things that you enjoyed the most? What are things that you didn't enjoy the most? What are things you could do differently? What are things that you would like to delegate? All of those questions can only be answered if you take the time to reflect. And then my last point here is gratitude. Gratitude is the only attitude of choice. I hope you've heard that phrase. I hope you commit to it. I hope you get it tattooed somewhere. Really. Gratitude is everything, guys, right? Yes, the world is riddled with problems. Yes, it is one of the most beautiful and also most challenging times to be alive. But is there something to be grateful for? Absolutely. If you're awake, hello, thank you. Your number wasn't called, right? You are still breathing. You're still on this earth. So that means you still can accomplish something. That means you still can do something. So be grateful. Even in the most dire circumstances, there's something to be grateful for. So the more that you hone in and double down on gratitude, the more that as you have these daily wins and victories, and yes, you will have daily wins and victories. Of course you will. It depends on how you define a victory. For me, I make victory like very broad so that I feel like a winner every day. Because it's, again, you gotta hype yourself up. You like, oh, I'm ready, let's go, right? Like, okay. So gratitude helps you kind of amplify how and how big you can celebrate these victories, how much you appreciate these victories, and how it's going to make you get really amped and excited for what's coming next. Embrace gratitude no matter what. All right, so that's it, y'all, because y'all have things to do. It's a Saturday here in the United States. I don't know what day it is elsewhere in the world. Don't ask me crazy questions. But with that, my name's Natasha Nurse. You can learn more about me at dressingroom8.com. And it's been fun. Like I said, it's been way too long since I've done this. So definitely look out for more content from me. I have a couple of live streams with fellow entrepreneur badass folks in the world. So just be on the lookout for that content. And then again, if you want to learn any more about my platform, go to dressingroom8.com. It's been fun, y'all. I just want to thank you for joining, watching. Please share this out and have a wonderful, blessed day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.